Academics, families, friends, and most importantly, distinguished graduates, it is a pleasure to accompany in the graduation ceremony of the Masters in International Relations and the Masters in International in Public Policies, and especially to do it in this magnificent place, the Paranymph of the Universitat de Barcelona. Now, Tatiana Rovira, Vice-rector for Studies and Quality Assurance of the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona, will address you a few words.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, Keynote Speaker, President of the IBEI, academic coordinators and teachers, members of the administrative and support staff, families, relatives, and significant others, graduates. It's an honor for me to be here today in such a meaningful act. So first of all, I want to thank the President for the invitation. Graduates, today is your day. You are the main characters of this ceremony, and it's your party, so congratulations, first of all. Today is undoubtedly a very significant day. For you, it's the final academic act that in some way culminates your expectations in masters with a long tradition and a lot of prestige. Therefore, it's not just a day to congratulate you, but to recognize your effort and to feel proud of having come this far. I hope and wish that the path has been full of enriching experiences. I'm convinced that despite some difficulties, because there always are, and hard work, you bring now with you a backpackage of knowledge, but also of laughters, complicities, and friends. Friends that I'm sure will be a security network at a professional and a personal level for the challenges of your future. Because there will be big challenges from you now on. We cannot close the eyes to the big difficulties of the current geopolitical context, but it's where people like you, with your baggage and youth, then can play a critical role. So take on these challenges with passion, persistence, and above all, believing in what you do, in what you can do, with responsibility, ethics, and hope, and remembering that sometimes trying is the most important. I'm sure the teachers have given you the tools to make this path easier, not only in knowledge, but in competencies such as critical thinking, making good decisions, being creative, and so on. And I'm sure teachers are today also very proud of you. So my congratulations and my recognition to them too. I would like to dedicate a few words to the families and significant others that are here with you today. Their support has been very important during your academic path. People in your near environment have been in your side when you were making critical decisions on your personal future and professional future, encouraging you and helping you dispel doubts. They have been silent observers of your worries and concerns, and they have also celebrated your achievements. So, they have helped, advised, and therefore contributed to your academic and personal training in many ways. You have done a great job, so today is also your day of celebration. It only remains me to wish you, all of you, a magnificent day of celebration of the 2024 graduation, good wishes and much satisfaction in your future professional practice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rovira. Now will be Dr. Pablo Pareja, Vice-rector for Teaching and Research Staff of the Universitat Pompeu Fabra, who will address you a few words.
Thank you very much. Good morning, dear authorities, dear graduates, dear friends. Let me use my first words to celebrate the graduates. Today, this event is meant to celebrate your efforts, but mostly your success, and on behalf of the Pompeu Fabra University, and I think that I joined the University of Barcelona and the Autonomous University of Barcelona, we want to thank you for having chosen IBEI to carry out your studies. And we want to thank you, and we also want to tell you that we're extremely proud that hopefully we've contributed a little bit to your education and to your future professional careers. You graduate at a time where dialogue is most necessary than ever. We are navigating turbulent times. Probably this has been the case for the past 20 years, and one may say for the last century. But you graduate at a very specific time in history, and looking at you, you represent nearly 50 different countries, different nationalities, and different perspectives. So I'd like to take this opportunity also to ask you to contribute to this very much needed dialogue. If there's something we may ask from you, is for you to contribute to this mutual understanding. I also want to take this opportunity to celebrate IBEI. IBEI is turning 20 years in 2024. So the institution has undergone a magnificent journey over the last 2 decades. And I want to express the university's gratitude to the former president, Narcís Serra, who's here with us today, also to the former director, Jacint Jordana, who has made a very significant contribution to this success. And I also want to wish all the best to the new director, Laura Chaqués, who joined IBEI this year. I'm sure, and I believe we all share this feeling, that she will carry out the torch that has given to her by Jacint, and she will make IBEI even a greater place. I'm very much aware that all the relationships that you've built over the last year will be carried out over the next few years. They will go beyond your experience here at IBEI. If I may ask you something else on behalf of the university, is to please act as our ambassadors. This is not a paid job, but we will definitely be extremely thankful for your contribution. Please visit us every now and then. IBEI will always be your house. It will be your home. So we will be delighted to have you back. I've been extremely lucky to share a few courses with a few of you. So I also want to thank you personally. But again, and I'll go back to my first words, today we celebrate you, so congratulations. Please make sure that you celebrate as much as you deserve this afternoon. And come back as soon as you can. Thank you very much. Have a great day today.
Now Laura Chaqués, director of the IBEI, will address you a few words also.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Vice-rector Marta Ferrer, Vice-rector Tatiana Rovira, and Vice-rector Pablo Pareja, students of the IBEI and families of the IBEI. First and foremost, I would like to congratulate students of the Masters of International Relations and the Master of Public Policy on achieving such an important milestone. Completing a master's degree is a significant step in your professional career. It represents a remarkable accomplishment that reflects a high level of expertise, a commitment to personal and professional development, and the ability to contribute meaningfully to your field and society at large. What you have achieved requires a great deal of effort, dedication, countless hours of hard work, and I want to thank you for this effort and this dedication. And also want to commend you for your activism in defending human rights and calling for the end of conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza. This is crucial in an environment marked by the proliferation of conflicts and decline in the quality of democracy. Students' mobilization, activism is vital for the health and vibrancy of democracy. By engaging in activism, you are contributing to sustaining and strengthening democratic institutions, resisting authoritarianism, building social cohesion, and carrying forward the legacy of democratic movements. This active participation is essential for fostering a robust, inclusive, and resilient democracy. And we are really proud of your stand and fight for human rights. The success of IBEI programs depends on many people, and I want to use this opportunity to thank the academics who are committed to imparting knowledge and the staff who manage the programs. Your dedication is crucial to the achievements we are celebrating today. Also, let me say this is my first graduation as the director of the IBEI. And as you may know, on January 20th, I had the honor of stepping into this role. I want to take the opportunity to express my gratitude to Professor Jacint Jordana, the former director, and Narcís Serra, the former president, for their exceptional leadership over these years. Under the guidance, the IBEI has flourished into an esteemed institution it is today, and I'm humbled to follow in their footsteps and build upon the strong foundation they have laid. As many as you know, IBEI has established itself as one of the leading institutions in social sciences in Europe. We not only lead and manage cutting-edge research projects, but also publish and produce research with a strong social impact. Our excellence is also reflected in our master programs, which have become benchmark of quality with high level of student satisfaction. Together, we have worked to maintain our position as a leading institution in both research and education, adapting to new social, political, economic, and technological challenges. And we are aware that the goal is changing rapidly with accelerated shifts in power balances between countries and fundamental questions about democracy as a form of political organization. And IBEI is taking the responsibility to understand these changes in international relations, in security, in development, and to propose public policies that contribute to the well-being of society. IBEI stands out not only for what it does, but also for how it does. The institution operates with transparency, with participatory democracy and open decision-making. But it also, and I also want to emphasize, the admirable structure of the IBEI consortium with the participation of all public universities in the metropolitan area. This collaboration is essential to consolidate Barcelona as a hub for research and scientific quality in Europe and the world. And I applaud the growing commitment of the Catalan universities to this cooperation, and we make ourselves available to working together in the future. Furthermore, I want to thank all students, professors, staff, and institutions, and also families for being part of this journey. And finally, I invite all students to join the IBEI mission and become members of the alumni program. Together, I hope that we will continue to build the IBEI as a beacon of knowledge and advocate for truth and positive agent of change. Thank you. Thank you once again for choosing the IBEI and for your hard work. Congratulations. And now, sorry about that. And now Anna Terrón, Senior Fellow of the Migration Policy Institute and the speaker of the graduation ceremony, will do the speech of the graduation.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Vice-rectors, and thank you, Narcís and Jacint. It's really an honor to be here today to address all the graduates and to celebrate with you this very, very, very important day in your lives and careers. I'm also very happy to bring to this room migration, which is something that really belongs to the international landscape and to which we scarcely look at. Migration is, of course, not new, nor is international migration, nor are the dimensions it has taken on this historical moment. Migration is obviously changing, but it has done so in the same way, if not less forcefully, as other elements of the global economy. In the last decades of the 20th century, and in this almost first quarter of the 21st century, the mobility of goods and services, the mobility of capital has grown exponentially, albeit with phases of slowdown. If we put in this perspective, we should not be surprised, let alone alarm, that 1 out of every 100 people are international migrants, a category in which many of you are counted, and many of us in our rooms are also or have more or less recently ancestors who could fall in this category. What should surprise and even alarm us is the limited capacity to manage migration and the overwhelming deficits in its international governance. We can witness those days, and we can see in the last periods. If we try to find a proposal for the governance of migration and mobility in the 21st century, we have to focus on the European Union. The European Union devised the best and the most sophisticated system for managing international mobility of people, all along the old dream of an Europe without internal borders. At a time of particular confidence in the European project, the Treaty of Amsterdam seemed to make it possible to pool such core elements of the state as borders and internal control of the territory, and dismantle internal borders to guarantee Europeans freedom of movement and residence. Of course, there have been and there are other areas of free movement in the world, but the Schengen system is also a system of governance, an extraordinarily sophisticated system based on mutual trust between states, administration, and judicial systems that share extremely relevant information. This system was intended to be the model that anticipated the challenges of the 21st century, while safeguarding freedom, security, and justice in a context marked by the traumatic European work in the Balkans at the end of the last century. And at the departure, and this is extremely relevant, of 1 million refugees in that period and caused to that Balkans situation, the removal of the EU internal borders met with resistance that are still lasting, as formidable as the challenge itself. Making the Schengen system effective required a reinforcement of external borders and the emphasizing of European migration policies and the common asylum policy, with which we are still grappling. Freedom of movement and residence is reserved to Europeans, while in the European Union, albeit no internal borders, there are still 27 different spaces, 27 different member states with its own borders for those who are not European citizens. These resistances were pushed by the effect of the 21st attacks in the United States, with intervened internal and external security, and reshaped the way we were looking at security issues. The optimism of the end of the century gave way to a defensive attitude, and borders regained their symbolic value, and border control was again at the heart of the northern states' will. The European Union looks at, reach and interpret international migration from its borders and with the aim of gain control of who is passing them. This is the European view of cooperation with third states. It is not aimed at engaging them in a better migration governance, in a better international migration governance, but it's make up, it's made, let's put in a simplest way, Europe, it's looking at the international scenario depending on the role that third countries have in the route to Europe and regardless of any other consideration. Cooperation with third states is not incorporating them in looking at how can we better assure common development and common security, but from a point of view of the home affairs and border control. Only by looking up and looking at international mobility and migration, their different roles and functions in the current global scenario would realize a reality in which we are fully embedded, even if, from the limited perspective of the mentioned home affairs and security issues, we scarcely can value it. To illustrate this statement, let me drop some figures. I was thinking since this very morning on whether I had to share with you some slides showing these figures, and I have decided not to doing it, but to try to have your attention to data and to encourage you to navigate on some documents that will give you a better idea than my slides, particularly the Joint Research Center of the European Union Atlas of Migration, which is extremely interesting. Let me just illustrate that with some figures and trends of the international migration after COVID and after what has been a pause on international mobility, also in international mobility of people. After the COVID hiatus, international mobility has once again increased worldwide, maintaining previous dynamics of migration, but incorporating some new features. Asian migration to the Gulf countries, as always, particularly to Arabia Saudi, whose economy is based on the work of thousands of international migrants, have picked up and increased. But at this time, it was joined by the arrival of 44,000, data from the 22, less welcome and partly returned East African migrants. And that's a new trend. Maybe those data can explain some of this. Climate displacement increased in East Africa, where some 37 million people have been severely affected by drought. And it has also increased in Pakistan, where floods have left 8 million people unable to return to their home regions. If we focus other area which belongs to our migration geography, we see that Afghanistan continues to generate an influx of refugees into the region, 1.5 million in Pakistan, almost 800,000 in Iran, and an unspecific number of internal displacement. In Africa, long-established intercontinental trends have been joined by the significant movement towards South Africa and the Southern Africa, where, and this is interesting, migrants find themselves in very vulnerable situations and feel rejection from the authority and the local population, leading them to displacement in countries such as Botswana or Zimbabwe with a less active economy, but a more welcoming by the moment attitude. Migration from Sahel, and I will get back to that in a while, is also growing, and the migratory geography in which the EU is present, the Sahel and the North and East Africa geography, has picked up and undergone changes that will be discussed below. Let's focus in another region which is of our very interest, Latin America, and I'm sure that many of you in this room know well the situation. Migration is changing and growing, and migration system is basically inter-American, although Spanish president and through Spain, the European Union is relevant but not central. The figures from this region are useful for me to bring to this session a word that is increasingly relevant in the analysis of migration: perception against reality, perception of migration. If we think about perception from Spain, we think that we are the destination of the Latin American migrants. This is absolutely, absolutely not true. We tend to think that US and Europe are the destination of the migratory Latin American flows, while data says absolutely the contrary. I give you one of it, which I feel and think it's very relevant. While Spain accumulated 182,000 residency cards for Venezuelan citizens in 2023, in case you may think irregulars are at least the same number, bear in mind that in Spain we have a local register in which all migrants can be included, and that shows us that irregular Venezuelans might be a figure of an 8% more in case. So there is the double of irregular Venezuelan migrants despite any perception. While we have these 1,800 residency cards, in Colombia, we have 2.9 million refugees from Venezuela. In Peru, we have 1.5 million. In Brazil, we have 510,000, and the rest up to 7.7. And please compare these figures with the Balkans, the Syrians, the Ukrainians refugees. 7.7 million are distributed, the rest are distributed among the USA, Ecuador, Chile, and Argentina. Movement to Mexico and Costa Rica, in addition to the US, continues to grow using dangerous routes as Darien, in which we can find at this very moment, and after COVID, this is new Afghan and Central and East African in an extracontinental migration movement. Don't get tired of seeing data of international migration. It gives extraordinary information about the world and about international relations. In international migration, the perception of receiving countries are the growing weight of migration in politics, but this is not leading us to better public policies on migration and to better understanding and working on how to reshape these flows. On the contrary, the presence of migration in politics, I insist not in policies, is toxic and is driving us to very, very poor actions, and actions that have proven in the last 30 years that are not going to make the situation better. And by making the situation better, I mean making a better world for all of us, but the contrary. What we are doing now, as I said, is to focus on border control, and the international relations around migration are very much based on what is supposed to be a great idea that the European Union had all along the Syrian crisis, which is the deal with Turkey. I will not give you the details because I'm sure you know them. At this very moment, we did something in the geopolitical migration. I still have 5 minutes? Okay, thank you. We did something in the geopolitical migration, which was extremely damaging for all of us. At this very moment, migration is seen as a force that can destabilize northern countries, United States, European Union, and also others I will mention because they have slightly reoriented that way. The war in Ukraine contained that threat. Europe received more than 2 million refugees, and behind the invasion of Ukraine, there was, of course, the idea that that would destabilize the whole European system, as it happened with the Syrian refugees, and that would create an attitude much less supportive to Ukraine. The war in Ukraine was seen in a very different way, and the arrival of refugees was managed with EU tools in an ordered manner and using a legislation we had since the year 2001, prepared after the Balkan crisis and never used in Syria. So we have to think twice on whether the way we manage the situation and not the origin of these people really shaped the reaction and make one thing being under control and the other still today out of control. The threat is there, and it's being used in Belarus in a very rude and useless way, but it is still existing in a very important area I said I would mention later on, the Sahel. Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger has now a military government, and the group, the paramilitary group Wagner, is still in their territories. Niger, which is a country in which the European Union has invested, just for border control, hundreds and more than 1,000 and probably near to 2,000 million euros, has decided to integrate migration in the rhetoric against the European Union, and Niger has changed radically its attitude from being a partner of the European Union to being one of the countries who's saying that they want to defend the rights of movement of everybody in Africa and stopped getting under control the route to Libya and the route to Mauritania. If we might look up and look less to our borders, we could maybe shape a different kind of agreements with our neighbors and with the international organizations and the regional organizations. We could look at it by improving international cooperation, by including migration in the new international and cooperation agenda of the European Union, which wants to be geopolitical and address the main threats of international development and the changes it has to have. The risk is political. As Professor Arango reminds us, the negative character of the current process of politicization based on negative representation of migration promoted by radical right parties and movements at both sides of the Atlantic, aiming to curtail migration, demonizing diversity, and limiting migrant rights, it's a threat to democracy in our lands, but also in the third countries to which we are addressing, despite their governments, despite their attitude towards human rights, to make this alliance not for democracy, not for international development, not for a new global governance system, but only to stop what we think it's a threat. It's a threat that other people, that migrants represent to us. Some countries are changing the direction in which they are working. Canada have had always a different political attitude and different policies, but now Australia is joining, and we have the very interesting example of the United Kingdom. Despite all efforts of the Sunak government in presenting themselves as a very tough government against international mobility and against migration, apparently next Sunday things will change, which demonstrate that this idea is not necessarily something that have to capture the mind of our citizens. Things can change, and we can try to go together to a different scenario. It's true that the battle in the European Union and in the United States is still to be fought. But it's also true that if we want to defend our international system, our democracy, and the expansion of democratic regimes in the world, we need to reflect twice in this Kantian year on how do we want to look at migration policies. I invite you to use all tools you have now to look at international migration, to look at the others, not in the racist way, which is the growing way in which this is being shaped, but in a scientific, critical, and constructive way. I think your contribution will be essential. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now the word is on Professor Alfredo Hernández from IBEI.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to be here today. And I would like to start by thanking all of you for listening to the speech, and Laura, Jacinth, and all of IBEI for this invitation. So when I was asked to prepare the speech, this ended up being a much more personal question than I initially thought, because after 4 years in this institution, I feel like I'm also graduating, since this is my last year. And I was not really sure where to begin, so I thought back at my own graduation ceremony, not that long ago, I might add. And the rector at the time urged us to go out and change the world. And I thought, well, that's great advice. And then I thought about it a little bit more and realized, well, maybe it's not such great advice, right? Because at the end of the day, it opens up a lot of questions. Change it to what? Change it how? Have I changed the world? How could I know? And a bit disillusioned with this, I turned to the loving and embracing arms of ChatGPT, and with a simple prompt, I had before me a fairly decent speech, and I found myself agreeing with many of the elements there. Things like the world needs leaders with both intellect and heart, that uncertainty should be embraced as an opportunity for growth, and many other valuable pieces of wisdom. And I thought to myself, well, rather than being relieved at the opportunity of getting something else out of my to-do list, I was left a bit worried, because if AI can produce such a compelling narrative so cheaply, then what do I bring to the table? And this became especially more worrisome when I thought about my own prompt for producing this speech, which was, well, what does it mean to study at a place like IBEI? After all, here we have trained you on many different texts, theories, articles on evidence, and a long series of etc., some code, and yet ChatGPT or any AI has read them all and more. So what sets apart a graduate in the social sciences from IBEI or from anywhere else from someone who has access to the internet and curiosity about the world that we live in? What does it mean to study social sciences in this age of AI that may very well just be beginning? Now, before we get into buyer's remorse, I'd like to argue that artificial intelligence, or AI, has always been with us. The only difference is that now it is being produced by machines instead of unenthused and bored humans. Now, there are many aspects to AI, and we've discussed them a lot, but I want to draw your attention to one specific one, which is that it is artificial. And by this, I don't mean false or unnatural, but rather that AI and its products are inauthentic. And I occasionally find myself saying things just because they sound right, without much reflection, and I think I'm not alone in this. I think it's a very tempting thing to do. So, an IBEI graduate is not set apart because they have more knowledge about the world we live in than anyone else, or because you may be able to produce conjectures about this world that are more likely to pan out. Rather, a graduate understands where worldviews come from and why some resonate more than others. And this why, as I'm sure that you will recall, is the hardest question that we can ask, because it requires an understanding of meaning, a type of understanding that needs to be both understood and, in a way, felt. Now, in getting you to this point, we've asked an immensely difficult thing from you. In literature and cinema, authors and directors ask you to suspend your disbelief in the narrative that they're producing so that you get lost in it, in this web of relationships of cause and effects, and in the lives of characters. That's such a natural thing for the human mind to do. And yet here we have asked you to do the opposite. We've asked you to suspend belief in yourself and in your own worldviews to see if these these relations of cause and effect that you assume govern the world and society actually hold true if we look at it more closely. Now, this is a very difficult ask that we've done, or that we've imposed on you. It's looking in the mirror, saying, I was wrong, potentially, but that's okay, and meaning it. Now, this is something that we ask of, that other programs asks of student of biology or other natural sciences. Yet, looking at a bird and asking why it flies is a qualitatively different question than looking at our fellow humans and asking why they suffer. These tools of science, the hypotheses, the operationalization, and all of that are a lot heavier when we use them on things that are much closer to our hearts. And no one, and I do mean no one, gets through life without false assumptions. So change is wanting to change the world, going back to this original prompt, is something very human and very natural. And I think all of you came here with this idea. And it is a very natural thing with good reason. The world indeed does need changing. But mercifully, no one changes the world alone. This would be too heavy a burden to place on anyone, and you've suffered enough already. So I will not urge you to go out and change the world, because I believe that you already, perhaps unwittingly have, and I am certain that you will continue to do so. Change is, for better or worse, inevitable. Everything changes, and yet there's nothing new under the sun. Some things tend to stick. Attention has always been a valuable thing. It is perhaps our most reliable metric of value itself. Therefore, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for the attention that you've given us throughout your studies. And I do hope that what you've learned here will help you give AI a run for its money in the future. So, without any meaningful advice to give you, I can just urge you to wear sunscreen, since it is Barcelona after all, and to go celebrate. Thank you very much.
And now the word is for students. Cristhian David Palencia Ortiz, Ariadna Langa Boya, and Ángel de Jesús Checo, representatives of the students of the cohort of the IBEI. Please.
Bon dia, good morning, buenos días, tothom. Fellow graduates, professors, family members, papa, mama. Today is a day of celebration, a day in which we recognize the effort and dedication that each of us has invested in reaching this important milestone in our education. By completing our masters, we are now a bit more prepared to face the challenges that our world presents and contribute significantly to the well-being of our communities. Throughout our programs, we have explored a variety of topics and developed essential skills to design and implement policies that promote the common good. We have learned that public policy is not just an academic exercise, but a powerful tool to transform reality and improve people's lives. That is why, having now acquired these tools, we cannot ignore the injustices that persist in our world. Despite advances, inequality, discrimination, and oppression continue to affect millions of people. We have witnessed how particular interests often prevail over the common good, and how policies can be used to perpetuate privileges instead of promoting justice. In our future professional careers, we will face difficult decisions and moments of uncertainty. However, it is in these moments that we must remember the principles that have guided us this far: equity, empathy, and commitment to the common good. Our decisions must reflect a vision of a more just world where every person has the opportunity to thrive. I would like to take this moment to mention two issues that deserve our ongoing attention and action. First, the protection of the thousands of lives of refugees and migrants that risk their integrity looking for a better future. It is our duty as part of this privileged society to use our knowledge and tools to address this migration crisis. In a world where human mobility is increasingly banished, we must work to create policies that ensure their integration and protection. Secondly, the genocide in Palestine. which is a constant reminder of the struggle for justice and peace. We cannot remain indifferent to the suffering of the Palestinians. It is our responsibility to advocate for an immediate ceasefire and for solutions that respect human rights and the dignity of all peoples. Como decía Gabriel García Márquez, un hombre solo tiene derecho a mirar a otro hacia abajo cuando ha de ayudarle a levantarse. Compatriota colombiano. Que nuestras acciones futuras sean el testimonio vivo de los valores que hemos aprendido, recordando siempre que cada pequeña acción puede contribuir a un gran cambio. Gracias, compañeros y compañeras, profesorado, familia, papá, mamá, amigos. Sigamos adelante con valentía y compromiso, haciendo que nuestra vida cuente y dejando una huella positiva en el mundo. Gracias. Thank you.
Buen día, buenos días, good morning. Dear classmates, professors, staff, special speakers, families. What a year we have had. First of all, I want to congratulate each of us because we have finally managed to reach the goal. Today we celebrate not only the end of an academic period, but also the personal and cultural enrichment that we have experienced by studying international affairs in a truly multicultural environment. Every day at IBEI has been a living lesson in diversity, where we have shared classrooms and experiences with people of 42 nationalities. Today I can say that I have friends with people from the 5 continents. This diversity has allowed us to better understand the complexities of the world, develop empathy, and learn that despite our cultural differences, we share a common desire for peace, justice, and sustainable development. On the other hand, today we also celebrate the achievement of having completed our master's degree in Barcelona, one of the most vibrant and cosmopolitan cities in the world. Studying in the city has not only provided us with a top-notch academic education, but has also allowed us to immerse ourselves in an incomparable cultural and social experience. From the historic neighborhoods of El Gótico and El Bor, or the peace of Montjuic, the modernity of Diagonal, the dynamism of Gracia, each corner has offered us invaluable lessons about diversity, history, and coexistence. We have had the opportunity to learn not only from our professors and books, but also from the city itself and its people, who have shown us the importance of integration and multiculturalism in building an open society enriched by its differences. With a lot of love and gratitude, I can proudly say today that Barcelona is also our home. And although some of us will return to our countries, a part of us will always stay here in Barcelona. Finalmente, quiero permitirme decir estas últimas palabras en español y va dirigido a todas las familias que están aquí presentes, en especial a la mía, que vino desde Santo Domingo a esta ceremonia. Lo que hoy hemos logrado también es logro de ustedes. Gracias por su apoyo incondicional durante toda esta travesía. Congratulations to each and every one of us on this shared achievement. Thank you.
Good morning, buenos días, y bon dia a tothom. Esteemed faculty, families, and fellow graduates. As we stand before you today, I can't help but to think about the state of our world. Our achievements today are incredible and should be celebrated, But we must not lose sight of the larger picture. Recently, we hosted an exhibition of Ukrainian students who will never have the chance to graduate as we are doing today. We are witnessing how students across the world are rallying against the invasion of Palestine and the murder of hundreds of kids every day. There are dozens of wars going on right now that we don't even know about. People suffering in Ethiopia, Somalia, Haiti, Afghanistan, or just yesterday during riots in Kenya or the coup d'etat in Bolivia. And then, when we get the chance to vote and do something about it, it turns out that the right and far right win together in the European elections. And we'll see what happens in the US in November. These events will shape the future, and our involvement is crucial. We are privileged enough to have received a high-level education. Many of you have traveled abroad to obtain this education. We have the opportunity to make a difference, whether in sustainability, human rights, gender, or even by entering politics to be part of our national governments. Our roles are pivotal. Our education allows us not to only dream of a better world, but to actively work for it. Let us commit to working together for a world where peace, justice, and equality are not mere ideals, but reality. And before I finish, I would like to say something in Catalan. Només volia agrair a la meva família per haver-me acompanyat en aquest camí. A tots els que hi són i els que falten, moltes gràcies. Visca Catalunya and Free Palestine. And now, before we leave, we would like to hold a minute of silence for everyone that has been murdered in Palestine. Nos gustaría tener un minuto de silencio por todas aquellas personas que han sido asesinadas en Palestina. That's it. Thank you.
Gracias.
Quiero robar una idea. ¿Qué? ¿Me hagas una idea?
Now the diplomas will be awarded to graduates of the Masters in International Relations. Dr. Andrea Bianculi, Academic Coordinator of the Master in International Relations, will read the names of the graduates. Yes.
Sí. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Good morning. Just before starting the distribution of the diplomas, let me say also that this minute of silence has also to include all those who were assassinated the 7th of October in Israel.
Okay, good morning, buenos días. First of all, let me congratulate you on your graduation. Well done, you deserve it. So just a quick reminder as to how we will proceed. I will call you in groups of 5. So as I call your names, you proceed to the stage where you will get your diplomas. Once you all have your diplomas, you turn around, you will be taken a picture, right? And then you go back to your seats, right? Thank you. So clases. Muhannad Alm Halalati, María Angélica Rosario Alejo, Andrés Arévalo, Ladislaya Osperberg Trautson, Azzurra Bassetti. Andrés Bernal, Arnau Brassó, Leo Broinel, Alex Bushnell. Ana Cajigal Herrera, Mara Cañas Medina, Aida Casanovas y Oliveras, Ángel de Jesús Checo Escalante, Menton Dai. María Teresa Freire, Clemens de Bonny de Laverne, Nicole de Liu, Aurélie de Rigaud, Choquette. And Lilian Evelar, please. Carlos Fernández, Yasmín Fornícola del Buono, Alessia Forte, Patricia Isabel Galante Pimentel, Parvin Garemani Nejad. Juan David Gómez Zambrano, Hans Martin Halland, Kiji Juan, Ilinka Miruna Isopescu, Nicholas Jones. Namita Kalita, Elizabeth Margaret Kelly, Gabriel Kerwick, Pete Kies, Mai Kim. Sofía Cort, Ariadna Langa, Laura Cristina Lugo Mercado, Michael Mayer, Senia Martin. Tyler Mead, Benjamin Miller, Laia Montesinos, Alice Nicolaides, Ana Ogan, Charlie Oulet, Tania Rodríguez, José Alonso Rodríguez Ramos, María Antonia Salazar, Héctor Llorens Sanz. Pablo. Emily Sedgwick, Lucas Javier Segal, Leon Siol, Selin Solmasoglu, Amalie Pedersen. James Stewart, Xavier Ter Hart, Mert Ter Heidi, Luke Thomeret, Edwin Trujillo Bonilla. Marilo Van Dam, Titin Van Dipten, Ferran Van Seys, Marie Welgemuth, Gunjan Yadav, Sara Sarruk.
Congratulations to all of you.
Okay, now the diplomas will be awarded to graduates of the Master in Public Policy. Dr. Yanis Karagianis, Academic Coordinator of the Master of Public Policy, will read the names of the graduates.
Thank you. So we'll just do it exactly the same way, okay? So I call Alex Alegría Lozada, Hazan Atabey, Callie Barnard, Morgan Burton, and Jose Ignacio Cabrejos. Well done. Okay. Alexandra Cortés Ramírez, Inés Gómez, Maria Llorente, Francesca Lupi, and Müge Özkan. And last but not least, Cristhian David Palencia Ortiz and Janet Tabet. Well done.
Now I give the floor to Mr. Yacine Jordana, President of the IBEI, who will close the graduation ceremony.
Thank you very much, Vice-rector. I will be very short to close this graduation ceremony. I only want to say three things. First of all, congratulations to all the students that are graduating this course, the class of 2024. It's a great achievement, and I think you deserve this because of all the efforts you have been doing during this course. And also, I also want to thank all faculty and staff from IBEI and also the partner universities that have been contributing to make this master's success a reality, and something that is really we can be proud of this, how all this IBEI teaching offers is going on. My second point is something addressed to the graduates, to you graduates, that I will ask you to be confident. You have been trained at IBEI with a lot of skills, knowledge, practical activities, and all together make you a very strong profile to join the labor market, to find positions, jobs that will fit well to your aspirations, your goals for your academic careers. And I think that you have been very confident that we have been training you during this year here at IBEI is going to be a very strong skill, a strong asset for your future career. So again, be confident on your abilities, your skills, your capabilities. You deserve this. And finally, a third point is that, as have been already said for some of the previous speakers, IBEI is a big community. It's a community of more than 2,000 alumni in the last, that we have been training in the last 20 years. Also a large community of scholars, researchers, faculty members that are now at IBEI or have been at IBEI during these 20 years. And also it's a community of a lot of friends and persons have been collaborating with IBEI along these years. And you are now joining, you have joined this community, but we expect you will continue joining this community all your life. And in this sense, we also ask you to join our alumni program, our alumni network activities, and also to be involved in what we are going to do in the coming years related to alumni activities or other activities that IBEI will launch in the coming years. That's it. Congratulations again, class of 2024. I'm excited to see all that you will accomplish. Go out and make a difference, and never forget that the best is yet to come. Thank you, and best wishes for a bright and successful future.
Well, we are finishing this ceremony, but before closing it, I would like also to address you a few words. As my colleagues have already stood out, we gather here today to celebrate the culmination of an important stage in your academic and professional life, a stage characterized by hard work, intense dedication, and perseverance, but also by stimulating learning, skills upgrading, and meaningful experiences. I am sure that all the acquired knowledge and resources have made you a better professional and a better specialist. So be confident in yourself and show the world what you can do. Indeed, today is a day of celebration, but also should be a day of gratitude. Gratitude to your families and friends who have supported you and trusted you. Gratitude to your mates who have accompanied on the way and who have shared with you sorrows but also joys. Thanks also, as it could not be otherwise, to your teachers who have helped you to grow in knowledge and skills. Gratitude to you, graduates, for trusting the universities here represented and IBEI to contribute to your education. And finally, thank you to the people who have worked intensely so that today's ceremony took place impeccably. Congratulations and best of luck in your future endeavors.